Yes, I said it. There are certain LLMs that you should not be applying to and for in 2024. Why? Because they're a complete waste of money. I said it. Some LLMs have no benefit and will just be you giving your money away to these American universities. And guess what? They will take the money. So you need to pay attention. In this video, I'm going to be telling you the hottest LLMs. I'll tell you some LLMs not to even just bother applying to. But then I'm going to be telling you the hottest LLMs in 2024 based on research that I have done. So before I tell you about the hottest LLMs, let me tell you LLMs that you should not be applying for in 2024. You should not be applying for LLMs that you have no interest in. There is no intrinsically bad LLM, right? But you can even go for one of these hottest LLMs. But if you don't have an interest in it, you're going to be wasting everyone's time, including yours, right? So do not pursue LLMs that do not have any bearing on your interests. They don't even align with where you want to be in the future. That's a waste of time. That's a bad LLM, no matter what LLM it is. Do not also pursue an LLM that has no bearing on the economy, right? Like, so if your plan is to be in the US, look at what's happening in the US economy. Look at where the trend is going. And I'm going to be sharing those hot LLMs that you should be running after right now, right? But look at where the trend of the economy is going. Look at your market. Those are the best LLMs to pursue, as opposed to just like pursuing any LLM, out there just because. So before we go ahead, just wanted to remind you to subscribe, like, comment. That's how this channel gets shared. That's how people know about the work that I'm doing. And if you know this channel has supported you through your journey, please, the simple thing you can do is do us a favor by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you so much, and let's jump back into the video. So the first LLM I'm going to be talking about is an LLM in intellectual property law, an LLM in technology law. So any of these LLMs, guys, for me, this is the hottest LLM. Anyway, just to be clear, there is no order in the LLMs I'm going to be mentioning. There's no order of preference, but for me, because I have an IP LLM, obviously I'm going to hype it, but that's not just the point, guys. I feel like an IP LLM, an LLM in technology, this is one of the hottest I've seen in the market. There is always a job for an IP lawyer in the United States, period. Why? Because America is a very innovative country, right? People are always inventing stuff. And what is intellectual property about? It's about innovative creations and ideas. I've done a full video about this, so I'm going to provide that in the description and somewhere for you to click somewhere, right? So that you know more about these LLMs and what schools that you can pursue these LLMs, this particular LLM in, right? But you want to pay attention. An IP LLM is one of the hottest LLM in the markets right now. I have to say that you can work anywhere, guys. I mean, you can work anywhere. I currently work for a tech company. You can work absolutely anywhere. So pay attention to an IP LLM, an LLM in technology, and what this will be looking at. The topics or what you would typically be learning would be like copyright, trademark, patents. As I've said, I've done a video on this before. For technology, you'll be looking at maybe more about technology licensing. You might still learn copyright, patent, trademarks in relation to technology as well. So I'm just going to be giving you those hints, but you should look out for this LLM in 2024. Another big up for an IP LLM is that it's federal law, right? So there's some state segments to it, I guess, if you want to say, but this is all federal law. And what that really means is you can actually practice this law from anywhere in the US. There are some exceptions here and there, but that's a very big one, because the US, if you know anything that I've mentioned about getting licensed in the US, you are licensed in a state. You are not licensed in the entire US. So I'm licensed in New York to practice law in New York. That does not give me a license to practice in California, right? So pay attention to that. So when I say IP is federal, that shows you that, oh, that helps you know that, oh, you can actually, you know, work from anywhere. There are exceptions, there are things to pay attention to, and it depends on the state that you're going to be working from. But I just wanted to mention that IP is federal, right? Copyright, trademark, patent, federal law. And so that's a big one for you if you're considering an LLM in 2024. Another LLM, and I see this one a lot, is an LLM in finance, in corporate business. This is a wonderful LLM. I have to be honest, it's fantastic. Why? Because there's always going to be business in the US. Now, as you can see, a lot of things that I'm talking about is because I am currently in the US, right? And I see that there's a lot of demand for jobs in this area. So I'm not just coming up with random LLMs, right? I'm telling you where I'm seeing a lot of demands in the job market, right? So an LLM in business, corporate finance, this is a big one, right? And what you'll be learning is practically structures of corporations, right? So you'll be learning mergers and acquisitions, business taxation, bankruptcy, stuff like that. It depends on the topic that you pick, right? And when I say the topic that you pick, what I really mean is that the courses that you pick, right? So really pay a lot of attention to that. Another thing to bear in mind is that it's not as if for these schools on your degree they write you have a master's in intellectual property laws. They just write you have a master's of laws. But what they do is that sometimes they give you separate certificates for your concentration. So if you picked courses that are aligned more with intellectual property, or you pick courses that align more with business, then you get maybe separate certificates. I think USC does this, but you should fact check. And even Penn State, I think they give you separate certificates for where you get those concentrations in. But fact check. Why I'm mentioning this is because a lot of us are like, oh, we expect to see that concentration on our certificates. That might not necessarily be the case. They might just name it a Master of Laws, but maybe give you a separate certificate for your concentration, or you might never get a certificate for your concentration, but you did a Master's in Intellectual Property Law because those are the courses that you picked, right? So just pay attention to that as you are applying to these schools. The next LLM I'm going to be talking about is an LLM in privacy or cybersecurity, or the both, right? This is also a big one in the US right now. We hear a lot about data breaches, unauthorized disclosure of personal data. It's a big thing, especially for tech companies, which are like a very big population here in the US, right? So if you're interested in protection of personal data, if you're interested in cybersecurity, I think this is a big opportunity for you, right? I am also a privacy specialist, even though I have an IP LLM, right? So afterwards, I went and took some privacy certification courses with the International Association. Oh, I speak fast. I know. I'm sorry. Forgive me. But with the International Association of Privacy Professionals. So this might be something that you want to pay attention to. And LLM in privacy and cybersecurity for me is important right now in today's world. There's a lot of demand. There's a lot of market, especially because here in the US, corporations are struggling with complying, right? There's a patchwork of privacy laws in the US, and companies are like, how do we comply with all these laws? And that's where masters in privacy or cybersecurity comes in, especially with the tech companies. I know for sure that tech companies are like clamoring for privacy professionals, but that's not all. In the health space, privacy is a very big deal here in the US, right? So if you're considering an LLM, I would encourage you to think about this, right? And look at how big it is in the US today, and ask yourself, is this an area that I'm interested in? Remember, I'm not just telling you to take up these LLMs arbitrarily. You need to make sure that they align with your interests, else it's going to be a bit difficult, right? So make sure this is something that you're interested in as well, and pursue this if this LLM is for you. Another big LLM here that I would tell you to pursue, because I see a lot of demand in the market, is an LLM in energy law, environmental law, and any LLM along these lines. Why? It's also big it's big in the US. Actually, it's very big in the US, and it's crazy how big it is in the US, right? And I think I've talked about this. I did an interview with Joel Joshua where we talked about his journey to Penn State. I'm going to provide a link to this in the description box, but where we talked about his journey to Penn State and how he pursued, I believe it was a master's in energy and environmental law. So this is something you want to pursue. In this LLM, what you're really learning is really about energy, the environment, and stuff like that, right? So if this is an area that you already have an interest in, pursue it. It is a big one in the US, especially because there have been some new laws. I believe last year one was passed that has cost a lot of money to be pumped into this industry. So they are looking for ways to give the money out. So why not come pursue the LLM in the US and get a meaningful career out of it if it's something that you're interested in. So an LLM in energy and environmental law is a to go. It's a hot one in 2024. So pursue it. Another big one that I will talk about is a taxation law LLM. So if you have interest in tax, I think the US is the best market for you. And why? You will never run out of a job. People always want to pay their taxes. It is the legal requirement. If you don't pay your tax here, Uncle Sam is coming for you, aka the IRS, right? So here, there's always an opportunity. Corporations are always looking for folks who can help them understand tax compliance rules and how to make the best of these rules, right? And so I would encourage you that if tax is something that you are tax law, tax LLM is something that you already have an interest in, or if it's something that you want to start looking at. But I think it involves a lot of maths and figures. I may be wrong, but pay attention to whether this is something that you're already interested in and you can pursue it, because it's very big here in the US. Like, folks are always looking for ways to comply, and there is always a market for tax LLMs in any market. In any market, I say again, in any market. And so I think you should be considering this LLMs in 2024. Don't just apply for random food LLMs unless that's an area of interest and you see that it's important for where you want to go. But don't just apply for random LLMs. Someone told me once about a criminal, and the person was a corporate guy doing a criminal thing, and just because the person wanted to get into the US, it's going to be very difficult for you. One, I don't know how good the market is for that. It's not my area, so I can't specifically speak to that. But two, it's not even your area of interest. So tell me why you're not going to struggle. You are going to struggle, right? So I just wanted you to keep this hottest LLMs in mind based on my research, and this is based on research that I've done on the top schools and what they're offering. And I've also looked at the job market to come up with this analysis. So have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. I hope this was helpful and meaningful to you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. It's very easy. Just subscribe, just like, comment if this was helpful to you. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.